The galaxy was full of powerful leaders, but Lady Zyra was different. She was one of the richest alien mistresses in the entire Orion sector. Her empire was built on rare crystals, ancient artifacts, and treasures that even kings were afraid to touch. People whispered her name with fear. They said she punished even the smallest mistake. They said her treasures were alive. Nobody knew the truth, but one thing was certain. No one dared to touch anything that belonged to her. Except one human. At least she thought so. Her personal human bodyguard, Evan Reed, was different from the others. Quiet, disciplined, always watching. Humans were rare in her world, and Zyra kept him close because he was honest, loyal, and strangely brave. But recently, she felt something strange in her mind. She wasn't sure. Could she trust this human more than her own alien guards? There was only one way to find out. So one evening, she prepared a trap. Not a dangerous trap, a moral one. A test of character. A test of honesty. A test only a human could fail or pass. She placed her most precious treasures inside a glowing chamber. Floating crystals, golden pearls, living stones that breathed softly like sleeping animals. Each treasure was worth more than 10 warships. She arranged them carefully and then stepped back, because tonight she wanted to see what Evan would do. The treasure room opened softly when Evan walked past. He paused. The lights inside the room shimmered like stars trapped in glass. The air was warm and humming with quiet energy. Everything looked beautiful. Too beautiful. Something was wrong. Why was the door open? Why were the treasures unguarded? Where were the lasers, sensors, or guards? Evan slowly entered the room. He didn't touch anything. His boots echoed on the smooth floor. The treasures reflected golden and blue lights across his face. Then he saw it, a small red light, glowing in the corner, a camera eye. Someone was watching him. Evan's heartbeat changed. He wasn't stupid. He knew this was a test. But a test? For what? His honesty? His fear? His loyalty? Or something darker? Behind another wall, in a hidden observation room filled with cold blue light, Lady Zyra watched him. Her long fingers tapped the screen as she observed his every move. Her bright jade-colored eyes didn't blink. She whispered to herself, "Show me what humans really are." Evan took a small step forward. The floating treasures hummed gently like they were alive. Their light danced around him. Anyone else would have stolen one. Anyone else would have failed. But Evan was calm. He kept his hands behind his back, his eyes scanning the room like a soldier on duty. Still, something pulled his attention. A small, glowing pearl had rolled out of place and was resting dangerously close to the edge of a table. One tiny push, one small movement, and it would fall. It looked fragile, delicate, breakable. He stared at it for a long moment. Zyra leaned closer to her screen. Was he tempted? Was he planning to steal it? Was her human finally showing weakness? But then, in a soft breath, Evan stepped back instead of going forward. He didn't touch the pearl. He didn't touch anything. He simply whispered, "This is wrong. Something is wrong here." He turned around, planning to leave the room and find Zyra to report the strange situation. But the door behind him suddenly slammed shut with a heavy metallic thud. Evan froze. This wasn't just a test. This was a trap. He pushed the door. It didn't move. He tried again. Still nothing. Zyra's voice echoed through hidden speakers inside the chamber. "Human, what will you do now?" Her voice wasn't angry. It was calm, curious, watching. Evan didn't panic. He knew she was observing. He knew this was part of something bigger. But he didn't know the real reason behind the test. He didn't know she had been betrayed before by other alien guards who tried to steal from her. And now she wondered if humans were the same. He walked slowly back into the room with his hands still behind him. "I don't know what you want from me," he said, "but I'm not touching anything that isn't mine." Zira's eyes widened. Even through the camera, she could hear the honesty in his voice. No fear, no greed. Only duty. But then something unexpected happened. One of the crystal creatures at the center of the room awakened. Its body glowed bright red. It had long, sharp edges instead of claws. And it sensed movement. To the creature, Evan looked like a thief. The humming sound grew louder. Light filled the chamber. The living crystal curved its blade-like body and prepared to strike. Zira stood up from her chair instantly. "No," she whispered. "He's not ready for this." But before she could stop anything, the creature launched itself forward with a high-pitched scream. Evan didn't run. He didn't hide. He stepped in front of the treasures, protecting them instead of himself. At that moment, Zira stopped breathing. A human protecting her treasures? Why? The chamber shook as the creature struck, and the test she created suddenly became a real danger for both of them. The moment the crystal creature attacked, the entire treasure chamber lit up like a storm of colors. Sharp reflections bounced off every wall, turning the room into a battlefield made of glass and light. Evan didn't run. He didn't hide. He did something no alien guard ever did. He stepped forward to protect the treasures. The creature slammed into the ground where he stood seconds earlier, sending a shockwave of blue sparks across the floor. It screeched, its body vibrating like a sword being sharpened. Behind the observation wall, Lady Zira froze. This wasn't part of the test. She had activated the chamber's recording systems, not its guardians. The creature should have stayed asleep. How did it wake up? She whispered, her voice trembling with confusion. Evan kept his stance steady, his hands open to show he wasn't a threat. His breathing was slow, controlled. He had fought monsters before, but nothing made of crystal. Nothing glowing like a star ready to explode. The creature lunged again, its razor limbs slicing the air. Evan ducked under its spin, rolled on the floor, and grabbed a fallen shield-like plate, not a weapon, just a protective panel from the chamber wall. It barely covered half his body, but it was enough. The creature struck the shield with a deafening crack. Evan was thrown backward, sliding across the polished floor, but he didn't let go. His arms shook from the impact, yet he held the shield. Between the creature and the treasures, Zira stared with wide eyes. Why is he protecting my things? She expected him to run for the door. She expected him to scream or bargain, or maybe even try to use the chaos to steal something. This strange human, he was fighting to save her treasures, not himself. Another slam. Evan groaned but stood again. The creature circled him, its inner core burning brighter, charging energy. The chamber's temperature rose. Soft alarms activated. Automatically, Zira's heart hammered. If she didn't intervene, the creature would crush him. If she did intervene, she would fail the test she started. Her voice echoed through the speakers again. Human, stand down. But Evan shook his head. I can't, these things. They're alive, aren't they? Zira's breath caught. He understood. He felt the treasure. Most aliens didn't even know the crystals were semi-living beings. They weren't just objects, they grew, resonated, connected. She never told Evan that. She never told anyone, yet the human sensed it. The creature shrieked again and jumped faster than before. Evan lifted the shield, bracing himself, but before impact, something even stranger happened. The creature paused. Its glowing eyes focused. Not on Evan, but on the tiny pearl near the edge of the table, the one that was about to fall earlier. The pearl trembled dangerously. A single vibration from the creature's movement could make it roll off the table and shatter. Evan realized. It instantly. He dropped the shield. He sprinted toward the pearl with no protection, ignoring the monster behind him. Zira gasped. That idiot, he's going to die. But Evan didn't stop. He caught the pearl just as it tipped forward, holding it gently between his palms. A feint. Glow spread through his hands, warm, soft, almost grateful. The creature froze completely, not because of Evan, but because of the pearl reacting to his touch. Zira stared at her screens in disbelief. The pearl accepted him. A human? No alien guard ever managed that. Not even she could touch it without wearing special gloves. Something was wrong. Something was different. Something was happening that even she didn't expect. The creature slowly lowered itself. Its color shifted from furious red to calm blue. Its razor edges softened into smooth curves. Evan stood still, holding the glowing pearl like it was a baby bird. "It's okay," he whispered. "I won't let you fall." Zira's heart trembled, a strange emotion she hadn't felt in years. She pressed a button. The door to the chamber unlocked. She entered slowly, her long steps echoing across the silent room. The creature moved aside, bowing its crystalline head respectfully toward its mistress, but its glowing eyes kept turning back to Evan, as if acknowledging him. Evan stood straight, the pearl still glowing in his hands. Zira spoke softly, almost unable to believe her own words. "Human, what are you?" And Evan simply replied, "Just someone doing his job, my lady." But Zira knew this human was more than that. Much more. Something inside her world had changed, and the test she created no longer had a clear answer. Lady Zira stood inside the treasure chamber, her elegant robes glowing softly under the blue lights. The gentle hum of the floating crystals surrounded her like a choir. But her eyes were fixed only on one thing: Evan Reed, the human, holding her living pearl calmly in his hands. It didn't make sense. It shouldn't make sense. That pearl had rejected every alien who ever touched it. Some guards even burned their skin trying. But the human, the fragile creature with no special powers, was holding it like it belonged to him. Evan waited quietly, unsure if he should bow, step back, or simply breathe. Zira circled him slowly, studying every movement, every heartbeat, every detail on his face. Her voice was soft but sharp. "How did you calm it? No human knows how these treasures think." Evan shook his head. "I didn't calm it, my lady. It just felt scared, like it was calling for help." Zira blinked. This was impossible. Alien scholars spent centuries trying to understand the pearl's emotional frequency. Some said they carried memories from ancient stars. Others said they chose their owners. But nobody believed a human could sense them. Zira took one slow step closer. "Human, are you lying to me?" Evan looked directly into her bright jade eyes. "No, my lady, I only felt like it needed protection." A strange, heavy silence filled the chamber. Behind Zira, the crystal creature stood still, unusually still, watching Evan like a guard dog recognizing a new master. Its sharp body was lowered, its bright blue core pulsing gently. Zira glanced at the creature, then at the pearl, then back at Evan. "This is not normal," she whispered. "Humans cannot form a connection with crystalline life. It has never happened before." Evan swallowed. "Maybe it's just a mistake." But Zira shook her head sharply. "No, my treasures do not make mistakes." She stepped closer, too close, until she was only a breath away from him. Evan felt the cold energy coming from her skin, mixed with a faint scent of cosmic flowers. She reached her hand toward the pearl, but the moment her fingers came near, the glowing stone flickered anxiously, almost shivering. Zira's hand froze mid-air. "It fears me, but not you." Her voice carried confusion, curiosity, and something else, something new. Before she could question further, the chamber lights suddenly flickered. The glowing walls dimmed for a moment and then snapped back to full brightness. Zira stiffened. "That's not normal. Something is interfering with the system." The crystal creature straightened instantly, its core turning yellow. A warning. Color. Evan placed the pearl gently on the table and looked around. "Is there danger?" Zira tapped a command on her wrist device. A hologram appeared in front of her, a swirling blue display showing readings from across her palace. Her expression changed. "What?" she whispered. "No one should be inside the upper vault corridors." Evan stepped closer. "You mean someone else is here?" Zira nodded slowly, her eyes narrowing. A second presence. A silent intruder. Inside the most heavily protected part of her estate. The creature's core turned red again, sensing danger. Evan moved forward instinctively. "Do you want me to investigate, my lady?" Zira looked at him carefully. A few moments ago, she questioned if she could trust him. But now, after seeing how he handled her treasures, after watching the crystal creature bow to him, she felt something she never expected, trust in a human. "Yes," she finally said. "You will come with me. But stay behind until I say otherwise." Evan nodded. XYRE turned toward the main hall, her long silver hair flowing behind her like a river of light. The creature followed close, but kept a small distance behind Evan, as if guarding him. As they left the chamber, the door sealed shut again, the lights fading into darkness. For a long moment, Zira said nothing. She walked fast through the glowing corridors of her palace, her steps sharp, her senses alert. Evan followed, scanning every corner like a trained soldier. But inside her mind, she kept thinking the same question. How did a simple human bond with something ancient and alive, and deeper than that? Another thought she didn't want to admit. Why does she feel safer with this human beside her than with any of her alien guards? She stopped suddenly, turning toward him. "Evan," she said, in a low voice, "if someone is inside my vault, I will need you to do more than guard." Evan didn't blink. "What must I do, my lady?" Zira's eyes glowed with fierce determination. "You must help me stop a thief." A sharp alarm rang through the palace, and the real danger of the night finally revealed itself. The alarm echoed through the wide marble corridors of Lady Zira's palace, bouncing off the glowing walls like a warning from the stars themselves. Evan followed close behind Zira, his eyes sharp, steps steady, every sense alert. He had never seen the palace in danger before, but Zira's expression told him everything. This was serious, dangerous, and personal. As they reached the upper vault corridors, the lights automatically shifted to a deep crimson, signaling an emergency lockdown. Floating drones activated, scanning the air for intruders. The ground vibrated slightly under Evan's boots. The entire palace was preparing for confrontation. Zira raised her hand, and the drones instantly backed off. They obeyed only her. "We are close," she said quietly. "Stay behind me. If the intruder is who I think it is, things may get complicated." Evan didn't ask questions. He had learned something tonight. Lady Zira never feared anything. So if she was worried, the danger had to be real. The crystal creature followed them from a distance, its core glowing orange, the color of restless caution. It sensed something in the air, something hostile. As they turned the final corner, Zira suddenly stopped. Evan nearly bumped into her, but her arm shot out in front of him, blocking his path. Wait, there was a faint sound ahead, a soft, metallic click, like someone tampering with a lock. Zira quietly activated a hologram on her wrist device. A floating screen appeared, showing the vault door ahead, massive, golden, carved with ancient alien symbols. And standing in front of it, an armored figure, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black mask. A thief, or something worse. Evan tensed. "Who is that?" Zira's voice lowered to a whisper. "My half-brother, Lord Valor." Evan blinked. "Your brother? He believes my treasures belong to him, and he will kill to claim them." Before Evan could respond, Valor lifted a glowing device and slammed it against the vault door. Sparks flew. The lock hissed in pain. The golden carvings dimmed. Zira clenched her fists. That vault contains something too powerful for him. She whispered, "If he gets inside, our entire world could fall." Evan's breath slowed, so we stop him. Zira turned to him sharply. "He is not like the creature you faced earlier. He is trained, ruthless, and he hates humans." Evan only nodded. XY single quotes, his eyes softened, just slightly, a rare crack in her cold armor. "Stay behind me. I do not want you to die today." Before Evan could speak, the crystal creature suddenly surged forward, sensing the threat, and let out a loud, ringing roar that echoed through the entire corridor. Vaylor froze. He turned around slowly, his masked face reflecting the glowing lights. "Well, well," he said, his voice dark and amused. "My dear sister, finally brave enough to face me?" Zira stepped forward elegantly, her chin high, her robes flowing. "Like molten silver, leave now, Vaylor." "You cannot open that vault." Vaylor laughed. "A human at your side? How desperate have you become?" Evan held his ground. The masked alien walked closer, studying Evan from head to toe. "Tell me, human, do you know what she keeps inside this vault?" Evan said nothing. Vaylor smirked behind his mask. "Of course you don't. She hides everything, even from her own protectors." Zyra's eyes narrowed sharply. "Enough." She summoned a glowing energy whip in her hand, long golden, humming with power. Evan had never seen her activate a weapon before. She always solved problems with her presence alone. But tonight, she was ready to fight. Vaylor activated his own weapon, a black blade made of dark crystal. Its edges pulsed like a heartbeat. The air thickened. The walls hummed. Even the palace seemed to hold its breath. Then, Vaylor lunged. His blade sliced forward with incredible speed. Zyra blocked him instantly with her golden whip, sparks flying in every direction. Evan watched for a moment, impressed, shocked, but then saw something nobody else noticed. Vaylor wasn't trying to kill her. He was trying to get past her, straight toward the vault. Straight toward the thing inside. XY pushed him back, striking again, her movements sharp and graceful. They clashed like lightning, gold against black, power against rage. Evan saw an Arn, Navan saw an opening. He grabbed a fallen metal rod from the floor, not a weapon, but solid enough, and rushed into the fight. Vaylor whirled toward him. "A human dares?" Evan swung the rod, blocking Vaylor's blade just long enough for Zira to strike again. This time, her whip wrapped around Vaylor's masked arm and yanked him back violently. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time, Zira realized she wasn't fighting alone, and Evan realized he wasn't just a bodyguard anymore. He was part of something much bigger than himself. Vaylor staggered back as Zira's golden whip cracked against the floor, leaving a bright, glowing mark. The corridor vibrated with the energy of their clash, and the air smelled like heated metal and lightning. Evan tightened his grip on the metal rod. He wasn't supposed to fight aliens stronger than him. He wasn't trained for galactic combat, but right now, he wasn't thinking about fear or strength. He was thinking about Zira. If Vaylor got past her, she would fall. And if she fell, everything she protected would fall with her. Vaylor pointed his dark crystal blade toward Evan. "You think you matter?" he hissed. "You're just a human, a pet in my sister's palace." Evan didn't reply. He stood firm, breathing quietly, studying Vaylor's stance. His heart raced, but his eyes stayed sharp. Zira stepped beside him, her voice low and controlled. "Do not provoke him." "Too late," Vaylor growled. He lunged again, faster than before. His blade slashed the air, aiming for Zira's shoulder. Evan reacted without thinking. He shoved Zira aside and took the hit on the rod, sparks exploding around him as the impact numbed his arms. Zira's breath caught. The human protected her? Vaylor laughed darkly. "You protect her as if you know what she hides," Evan frowned. What she hides. Zira stepped forward. Vaylor, stop this. But Vaylor's voice rose, dripping with bitterness. Tell him, sister. Tell your precious human what sits inside the vault. A cold silence spread through the corridor. Evan looked at Zira, waiting. She avoided his eyes. Vaylor laughed again. She doesn't want you to know. She hides everything, even from the ones who trust her. Evan felt the shift in the air. Zira was not just scared of Vaylor. She was scared of something else. Something deeper. Something inside that vault. XY finally spoke softly. I never wanted you involved in this, Evan. Vaylor stepped closer, blade humming. Too late. He's already part of your mess. The crystal creature behind them growled, its blue light turning red, sensing tension between its mistress and the human. Evan looked between them. Tell me, my lady, what's inside the vault? Zira inhaled slowly. Something powerful, something dangerous. Something only I should protect. Vaylor barked out a harsh laugh. Lie, tell him the truth. The vault holds the Heartstone. The rarest living crystal in the galaxy. A source of unlimited energy, enough to destroy planets or heal them. Evan blinked. A living crystal, like the pearl? Zira nodded reluctantly. Yes, but far more alive. Far more emotional. It bonds with minds. It chooses its guardian. And once it chooses, Vaylor finished her sentence with a smirk. It never lets go. Evan finally understood. This wasn't about treasure. This was about power. Ancient power. Vaylor pointed his blade toward the vault. That stone belongs to me. I have royal blood. It should obey me. Zira's whip snapped against his blade, pushing him back again. You are not worthy of it. Evan saw something in Zira's eyes then. Not anger, not pride, but fear. Not fear of Vaylor. Fear of the Heartstone choosing someone it shouldn't. Fear of losing control. Fear of the ancient power turning against her. Vaylor read her expression too. Oh, so that's it. You're worried the Heartstone won't choose you anymore. Zira froze. Evan felt a strange chill. Choose? It chooses. A person? Yes, Vaylor replied with a mocking smile. The Heartstone has a mind older than our empire. And lately, it has been restless. It rejects almost everyone. His masked eyes slowly shifted toward Evan. Almost everyone. Zira instantly stepped in front of Evan, blocking Vaylor's gaze. No, Vaylor tilted his head. You think I haven't sensed it? The pearl recognized him. Even the guardian creature bowed to him. Evan felt Zira's energy shift again, her muscles tightening, her jaw clenching, her breath sharpening. She was scared, not scared of Vaylor stealing. The Heartstone, scared of the Heartstone choosing. Evan, Vaylor laughed cruelly. Oh, sister, imagine the shame. The galaxy watching the human become the stone's chosen one instead of you. Evan stood stunned. Zira didn't move. Her silence was the answer. Vaylor raised his blade and pointed it at Evan's chest. If the Heartstone chooses him, I'll kill him before it happens. Zira exploded in fury. Her golden whip turned white-hot, and the real war finally began. Vaylor's threat hung in the air like a blade ready to fall. His dark crystal sword pointed straight at Evan's chest, glowing with murderous intent. The corridor lights flickered, as if even the palace felt the danger. Zira moved before Evan could blink. Her golden whip transformed, its edges brightening from gold to pure white, burning with a heat that shimmered like a small sun. She stepped between Evan and Vaylor, her arms trembling with anger she usually hid behind her calm, royal composure. You will not touch him, she hissed. Vaylor tilted his head, amused. Oh, and why is that? Because you finally care for a human. Evan felt the shift in her energy. Her silence was the confirmation, but Zira didn't answer. Not to him. Not to anyone. The crystal creature behind them growled, its core burning. red like molten fire, ready to leap at Valor if Zira commanded. Valor smirked beneath his mask. I knew it. The Heartstone was right to react tonight. Something inside this palace has changed. Something involving him. He jabbed the blade forward, just enough to show his intention. But Zira met him head-on. Their weapons clashed. So fiercely the entire corridor shook. Sparks of white and black energy burst outward like lightning tearing through the air. Evan staggered back, shielding his face from the blinding light. The vault behind them responded, the ancient symbols on. The golden door began to glow for the first time in years, swirling with deep crimson, violet, and blue light. The carvings pulsed with life, as if something inside the vault had awakened. The Heartstone had heard the conflict, and it was calling. Zira froze mid-strike. Valor stepped back. Even the creature stopped moving. Evan felt a sudden warmth spread. Across his chest, gentle at first, then stronger, then overwhelming. He gasped and grabbed the nearest wall to steady himself. What is this? Evan whispered. Zira looked at him sharply. You feel something? Evan nodded, breathing hard. It's like something is pulling me. Valor laughed loudly. Of course it is. The Heartstone is calling you. Zira's expression darkened with fear and disbelief. No, that is impossible. But Evan couldn't stand still. His body moved on its own, drawn toward the vault door. His steps were slow, shaky, but unstoppable. The closer he got, the brighter. The vault symbols glowed. Zira rushed forward, grabbing his wrist. Evan, stop, you cannot go near it. But the moment her hand touched him, a shockwave of blue light burst from his skin, knocking her backward. Zira hit the ground, stunned. She stared at Evan, breathless. Valor watched with growing excitement. Oh, this is beautiful. The Heartstone rejects you, sister. And accepts him. Evan stumbled forward until his palm rested against the vault door. The entire palace. Vibratted. A deep humming filled the air, ancient, powerful, older than both Zira and Valor's royal bloodline. The symbols around Evan's hand glowed white-hot, and the golden door rippled like liquid metal. Zira scrambled to her feet. Evan, stop! It will consume your mind. But Evan didn't hear her. He was somewhere else. Inside his head, inside a glowing world where the Heartstone spoke without words. He saw vision cities made of crystal. Worlds rising and collapsing. Wars fought over light. 1,000 years of memories searching for a soul pure enough to carry them. And then the stone found him. A warm pulse spread through his chest, calming every fear inside him. Outside, the vault door slowly split open. A blinding red-blue-white light filled the corridor. The Heartstone floated out, small as a fist, glowing like a tiny star. The crystal creature bowed so low its body touched the floor. Valor stared in shock. Zira whispered, terrified, No, not him. The Heartstone drifted toward Evan, circling him, scanning him, recognizing him. Then, gently, it touched his chest. A blast of pure energy erupted. The corridor exploded with light so bright every drone shut down. Valor shielded his mask. Zira covered her eyes. Even the palace itself trembled. When the light faded, Evan stood glowing faintly, the Heartstone floating above his shoulder like a guardian spirit. His eyes shimmered with a soft red-blue glow. Valor whispered in disbelief, He has bonded with it. Zira stepped forward slowly, her voice breaking between fear and awe. Evan, do you understand what this means? He turned to her, still confused, still dazed. No, what does it mean? Zira swallowed, trembling. It means the Heartstone has chosen you. Valor's blade lifted again. And now, he growled, I have no choice but to kill you. Valor's dark blade trembled with furious energy as he aimed it directly at Evan's heart. His voice cracked with a mix of rage and disbelief. I warned you, he growled. If the Heartstone chooses you, I will end you before it binds. Fully, the corridor lights flickered violently. The Heartstone floated close to Evan's shoulder, glowing brighter with every second. A living star choosing its guardian. Evan didn't fully understand what was happening. His mind felt heavy, with distant memories that weren't his. Worlds he never visited. Battles he never fought. 1,000 years of silent wisdom whispering through his thoughts. But he knew one thing with perfect clarity. Valor wanted him dead. Lady Zyra stepped between them again, her whip glowing white-hot. Valor, if you attack him now, the Heartstone will destroy you. Valor laughed cruelly. I would rather die than watch a human take what should belong to our royal blood. He charged. Zyra moved to block him, but Evan grabbed her arm and gently pulled her aside. She looked at him in shock. What are you doing? Evan stepped forward, placing himself directly in Valor's path. I'm ending this, he said simply. Valor roared and swung his blade with full force. But the instant the crystal blade reached Evan's chest, the Heartstone reacted. Barrier of shimmering red-blue light burst outward, stopping the blade inches from Evan's skin. The energy pushed Valor backward, sending him sliding across the floor, his boots scraping against the polished tiles. He stared in horror. No. No, it protects him? Zyra covered her mouth, unable to believe what she was seeing. Her breath trembled. Evan looked down at his hands. They were glowing faintly, as if the Heartstone's power was flowing through him, except in him, merging. With him, the Heartstone circled around his head, then settled above his shoulder again, glowing like a loyal companion. Valor screamed with fury. This is a trick. A human cannot be chosen. He charged again, reckless, desperate. This time, Evan didn't stand still. He stepped forward too, and the ground vibrated beneath his feet. A wave of energy exploded from his movement. Invisible, but powerful. The corridor's golden walls rippled. The drones in the distance fried instantly. Even the crystal creature bowed its head, recognizing the authority of the Heartstone. Valor swung wildly, but Evan raised his hand, just a hand. The blade froze midair. Valor's eyes widened behind his mask. What are you? Evan didn't know how he stopped the weapon. He didn't know how he froze Valor's movement. But the Heartstone did. A pulse of light surged through Evan's body, and with a calm voice, Evan said, I'm just human. But that's enough. The Heartstone flared with brilliant light. Valor screamed as the energy hit him, not burning him, not killing him, but pushing him backward with unstoppable force until he slammed against the far wall, his blade shattering into black shards. He collapsed to one knee, panting. Defeated, Zyra felt her entire world shift. For years, she protected the treasures. For years, she carried the responsibility alone. For years, she believed no one, not even her own blood, was worthy of the Heartstone. But tonight, a human proved her wrong. She stepped toward Evan slowly, her voice soft and trembling. Evan, the Heartstone did not simply choose you. It trusts you. It has accepted your soul. Evan lowered his glowing hands, breathing hard. I didn't want this, my lady. I was only trying to protect your palace. Zyra shook her head. No, you protected more than that. You protected the treasures, the creature, me. Her last word came out quieter, almost fragile. Evan met her eyes, and for a moment, the entire palace grew silent. No alarms. Number. Fighting. No fear. Just Zyra staring at the human she once tested, and now owed everything to. Valor coughed, weak but still alive. This isn't over, he forced out. The galaxy will never accept a human heart-bearer. Zyra stepped forward, her voice cold and royal. Then the galaxy will learn. She looked back at Evan. You are the Heartstone's choice. And that makes you part of my house, my protector, and my equal. Evan blinked in shock. Equal? The heartstone chimed softly, glowing brighter, agreeing with her. The crystal creature approached Evan slowly, then bowed deeply. A sign of absolute loyalty only shown to rulers. Zira smiled for the first time that night. From this day forward, no one touches you, no one commands you, and no one stands above you except the heartstone itself. Evan felt the last of the heartstone's warm light settle inside him. Like a heartbeat made of stars, he wasn't just a bodyguard. Anymore, he was the chosen human, the only one in the galaxy bonded with a living ancient power, the man who proved loyalty stronger than fear. And as the corridor lights slowly returned to normal, Lady Zero whispered one final line unheard by Valor. "You were never my test, Evan. You were my answer."